Good evening, guys. Welcome back to The What Life. I absolutely love this race. This was such a good one, guys. And if you can stick around, I'm pretty sure you're going to be shouting at the screen, telling me just to hold on. But it was great. So we are doing, obviously, Zwift Monthly. It's Monday night. It's 7 p.m. UTC, so 6 p.m. in the UK. This is a double loop of the two-bridge loop. And anyone that's done it, you should know that there is a little climb in it towards the back end. So the race itself is 15k, just over 9 miles, and there's 160 meters of elevation. I was quite cheeky and got to the start pen nice and early and did a good little warm-up, which then lets me kind of drift a little bit backwards. And you'll see that there are over 100 riders kind of scheduled on the start line. Having a good start position is, like, I'm just realizing this, it's really key. And it's never going to be an easy race when people are in the start pen basically not calling me out, but just telling me how damn hard this one's going to be. So that kind of gave me a tiny little bit of extra motivation, or at least I knew that I was going to have to pedal through a few tiers to make this one. But the start position kind of gave me that little edge where I didn't have to try and catch up with the group because I started at the front. I kind of fell back a little bit and then kind of moved my way back up. So that was like, I actually had a chat with someone the other day and they were telling me little Zwift hacks, but getting a good start position in the start pen is absolutely key, and that worked really well. So this is obviously going to be a shorter race, only being 15k, which meant it was going to be an absolute tear up, and it was exactly that, especially with over 100 riders. And you'll see that the group splits quite early, as in, like, you know, we lose 50% of the field, and you know, I'm happy to say that within that first split, I make it on the right side. So you can see my position here, all pretty good as we go through the S's, and I'm pretty happy with it, even though it felt like a hard start, like a good, tough, hard, ballsy 2-lap short race, punchy, small climb, B-cat throwdown is what this was. But I am on the right side of the break nonetheless. So we're happy with that. And this first corner, this first like little climb here, the mini climb, or that little punch up, I saw a bunch of people using their power-ups, and I was like, wonder why they're using their power-ups. Like, maybe I should, and I kind of don't, and obviously regret it, because once I learned the course, I realized that basically if you use your power-up there, then you get another one coming down on this bridge. So as soon as I realized my mistake, I punched in on my power-up to kind of help me stay with the group, and then I pick up another one going through the arch. But that was kind of my first mistake. Nothing massive, because I don't think the group was necessarily kind of herring its way off by any means. But the first loop on this was hard, was definitely tough, and it's made tougher by the climb that comes towards the back end. But I didn't feel like the pace let up kind of that much at all on the first loop. There are a few moments on the second loop where I think the pace just comes off slightly, and I can only say that because it kind of allowed me to survive for like another 5 seconds, another 10 seconds. So the first lap was definitely hot, and then we go through this punch, which is the climb at the back end of the first loop, and we are just about to dive into that. So again, you can see that, you know, we have dropped quite a few riders. Someone riding off the front. I always appreciate, guys, Ollie checking in on me in the group. I'm never trying to make these races kind of about myself. That's not really what I'm in it for. But I do like community. I do like chatting. So I am just trying to like hold on. And guys, I appreciate you when you reach out and just check that I'm in the group. I always try and reply. Whether I get my grammar correct whilst sweating and dying and typing is another matter. So this is the climb that is basically the kind of, I guess, the majority of the elevation for each lap. And this was tough, and I knew it was going to be tough. So my basically tactic here was to hit my power up at the correct time, close my eyes, and just cycle as hard as I can. Because I knew that if I could make this climb and stay with the front group, and I'm just going to like direct you down to my wattage bar at the bottom of the screen, where you can basically just see that it's a series of me dying. And so I smash my power up, I just close my eyes and I go for it, because I need to stay on this front group, otherwise I'm just not going to be in it for lap 2. And just because, well, it's a tough race. It was always going to be short, sharp, fast, but I just wanted to be in it. I don't know why. I don't even know why it means so much to me, but it does, and I want to be part of it. I enjoy doing it. Cheers, Ollie, for the little message. I don't know how you are cycling like that and messaging me at the same time. Kudos to you. So I fall off the front group, which is maybe the front, as you can see, like 40 odd riders, 40 and a bit. But then I realize that if I look at, I take a straight look at the little mini map, I'm like, right, get your breath and then dive in with this little group that's kind of forming behind. And so that's exactly what I do. And I kind of have to make sure that I don't miss the train on this. So as we're coming down this descent, just make sure I don't miss the train on these guys coming through. And I'm like, well, do you know what? This would be I was literally prepared to kind of ride the second lap with this little group. But then like this little miracle happens where we just end up riding up. So we've got our little group, maybe 12, 13 riders here. And for some reason, I guess, like, kudos to the guys perhaps at the front of this group are actually probably riding quite hard. But they ride us back on, and this has nothing to do with me. I'm just literally sat on the group, like trying not to die. So Ollie checking in on me again. And this is when I just say, look, we're in this little chase group. But because of some of the guys, really kind of working to get back on, it creates that kind of little string out, which kind of means that, you've got a couple of wheels to sit on, or you can follow one wheel to another wheel to another wheel. And we get back in the group, guys. So in theory, I have made the first lap and I'm still on the front group. And I do message just to say that I am on. And when I say on, this is that's a loose term, because I'm never fully attached or within the group from this point onwards. I am basically clutching at the back wheel of kind of the back rider. But you can see from this point onwards that I think it's about 50 riders now. So we've kind of split, like that's 50% of the race don't make it into the second half or the second lap in the front group, which is kind of like blows my mind a little bit, because you'd think that because we're all the same category. Anyway, I am just happy to be here. I'm in the mix. And then my main concern is basically trying to keep a good position and recover as much as possible, because obviously now I know what is coming for lap 2. The S's are tough. Like, I will say that, mostly because I think you kind of have to like measure your efforts through the S's, like, that little, on the little inclines, put a little bit extra on. Like, I don't know, it's just not smooth cycling. It's just like, because of the incline and declines, I think you just have to measure your efforts a little bit. So, and I wanted to make sure that my positioning was good coming into this little climb here. And I know this is a mini one, and this time round, hopefully I use my power up. There we go. And this is kind of like, use your power up, Max, stay in the group, do everything you can. And you can see me working quite hard to do it. And I think there's like 1,000,000 points from this point onwards where I quit. There's like, and then for some reason I just end up back on the rear wheel of the group. So from this point onwards, I'm kind of hoping you're sat there going like, come on. Because that's what I was basically doing in my head. I'm just sat there being like, okay, right, just hold on for another 5 seconds. Hold on for another 10 seconds. So that power up basically just kind of keeps me within spitting distance, I guess, of the rear wheel of the group, which kind of keeps me in touch. Now, I like this little move here because obviously having done this the first lap, I knew that the second lap was coming along. And so I knew that I was going to get power up as soon as I went under this arch. And because of my position, because you can see me just falling off the back, guys, like I was like, I'm not going to survive that last big climb. There's no way I'm going to survive that. Like, look at the state of me now. So I was like, straight in. As soon as this power up's up, I'm using it. So that's exactly what I did. Just waited for the power up to come through, use it, get back in the group, and then kind of hopefully that'll, even if it's like 30 seconds, it just keeps me in that mix kind of a little bit longer, because this was kind of the point at which I am really struggling, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on the distance marker, just kind of willing it to go down a bit quicker. But this was this was a hard and furious race, and from this point onwards, it's kind of like it's touch and go. And there's like a couple of points where I'm like, so for here, for instance, I'm like, right, I'm off. Like, can I do this? Can I not do this? And you kind of see me come off the watts a little bit, but then the group doesn't necessarily like massively move away from me. So I'm like, wow, okay, right, just get back on again. And I'm kind of just like, I think maybe it's the pack dynamics or whatever's going on. It kind of like a few instances where I was like, I think I'm coming off, but then I don't end up falling off the group. And it happens here again, where I'm like, oh God, the group's moving away. Ollie, I think, kindly kind of comes back. I don't know whether you were like semi-offering me a wheel that I was never really going to be able to chase, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Drops back in the Galaxy kit in the purple, just to kind of, I think, spur me on. And anytime someone messages me, like, because sometimes I feel like I can just kind of drift off the group and obviously no one really cares. But then sometimes people are like, go on, stay on. And then that just gives me that like another 20 seconds of like, okay, right, I have to do it now. And this is kind of what was happening, is that I'm kind of dropping back because I don't have the legs to do it. And then someone's like, come on, just stay with it. And then I kind of just managed to make it back on. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to make this last climb for a second time, it having beaten the hell out of me the first time. But this is where I completely melt down. So from, I love this race. It was super good. I love the tempo of it. Like it was hard and furious. But my body just has a complete meltdown going up this hill for a second time. I think maybe it was just like pushing like that far beyond. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to put like, I couldn't put like another tempo effort into this hill. I couldn't like close my eyes and just try and grind it out. I didn't have that in me. So I'm kind of riding up it quite steady. And then like the group obviously disappears off. I'm sat 53rd position and I'm like, do you know what? That's pretty good. We've got 2K left, 1.2 miles, 2K. If I can just ride it in from here, I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe a chase group will catch me. That's, by the by, good race. Everyone's happy. But then my body goes into complete meltdown and my calves just start completely cramping as I try and put in like just a few extra watts to get me up this hill. And like, this was it. I've never really kind of had like a double calf cramp to this extent. And it is extremely painful. And I hope, like, as I talk about it, that you guys might just be like, oh yeah, I remember the time I had that and it was brutal. And that's basically just puts me to a complete standstill. I do manage to finish the the loop. It takes me a minute or so to get rid of the my calves to stop cramping. But it was, guys, I loved it. It was such a good race. Nothing dramatic on the power curve, so you don't need to stick around for that. But I will see you guys next week. No Zwift Racing League for me tomorrow night because I'm in Madrid, but next week. Cheers, guys.